Across the centuries, one question has lingered among builders, craftsmen, and survivalists alike. How did medieval structures made from simple timber endure for hundreds of years, while modern would often decay in mere decades? From Viking ships, still resting intact in their burial mounds, to oak beams supporting Europe's oldest cathedrals, our ancestors clearly knew a secret, an ancient preservation method that allowed wood to resist rot, insects, and even time itself. What they discovered wasn't chemistry born in a lab, but wisdom drawn from the earth, water, and fire. And understanding it, isn't just a history lesson. It's a survival skill that remains as relevant today as it was 1,000 years ago. It begins with a surprising truth. The key to preserving wood was not dryness, but water. Medieval builders discovered that freshly cut timber submerged underwater didn't rot. It strengthened when kept beneath the surface of ponds, rivers, or marshy soil. The wood hardened over time, a process now known as water seasoning or bog preservation. Without oxygen, decay simply stopped. Fungi and bacteria, the natural agents of rot, couldn't survive. The results were astonishing. Viking ships, like the Asaberg and Gokstad, buried in waterlogged earth for over 1,000 years, still retain their structure today. The wooden piles beneath Venice's buildings have stood for centuries beneath the sea, untouched by decay. Medieval carpenters may not have understood the microbiology, but they knew what worked. They soaked timber for months, sometimes years, before use. And the longer it stayed submerged, the stronger and more durable it became once dried. Modern survivalists can use the same wisdom. If you have freshly cut wood and need it to last, sink it in a clean pond or stream for several months. This leaches out the sugars and sap that feed pests and fungi. Once slowly dried in the shade, the wood becomes dense, resistant, and naturally preserved, perfect for tool handles, fence posts, or structural beams meant to endure. While water gave wood strength below the surface, fire gave it longevity above ground. Medieval craftsmen mastered the art of controlled charring, a practice still known today as shosugi-ban in Japan, though similar methods existed across Europe. They scorched the outer layer of wood just enough to blacken it, brushed off the soot, and sealed the surface with natural oils or resins. This light charring created a thin layer of charcoal that repelled water, insects, and mold, while sealing the wood's pores. Posts treated this way could last for generations, and in many rural churches and barns, those blackened beams still stand as silent proof. To replicate this ancient technique, heat your wood evenly with a torch or flame until it turns dark, brown, or black. Wipe it clean, let it cool, then apply a natural sealant, beeswax, pine resin, or boiled linseed oil. The combination of fire and fat forms a weatherproof shell that resists decay without modern chemicals. Even in harsh outdoor conditions, this simple treatment can extend the life of posts, handles, and shelter supports by years. But medieval preservation didn't stop there. They relied on what nature provided: resins, tannins, and oils from local trees. Oak bark, rich in tannic acid, was boiled into a solution that made wood too acidic for fungi and too bitter for insects. Pine resin mixed with animal fat or beeswax created a waterproof coating that protected ships, barns, and bridges alike. Sometimes, craftsmen even added charcoal dust or ash, not for looks, but to darken the wood, help absorb heat evenly, and prevent cracking. Today, you can recreate this exact mixture at home. Melt beeswax and pine resin together. Add a touch of linseed or olive oil, and brush it on warm wood. It seeps deep into the grain, hardens, and creates a natural armor. The same method used by shipwrights and builders centuries ago. But perhaps the most overlooked secret wasn't in the treatment, but in the timing. Medieval woodworkers were masters of seasonal cutting. They felled trees only in late winter, when the sap had retreated and the wood held less sugar and moisture, far less appealing to insects and rot. Trees cut in spring or summer rotted quickly, no matter how they were stored. After filling, wood was carefully air-dried, never kiln-dried, stacked under cover with thin spacers for airflow. Slow drying allowed internal moisture to escape evenly, preventing cracks and warping. Modern builders still struggle with splitting wood because they rush what the medievals patiently prefer. So if you're cutting your own timber, take their advice. Harvest in the cold months. Dry it in shade with good ventilation, and never in direct sun. The patience you invest will reward you with wood that can last for generations. When you combine all these ancient methods, water curing, fire charring, natural sealing, and seasonal cutting, you reveal the true secret behind why medieval wooden structures have survived the centuries. These were not accidents of history. They were the result of careful observation, skill, and respect for the natural world. For the modern craftsman, homesteader, or survivalist, these lessons are timeless. Whether you're building an off-grid shelter, restoring a barn, or crafting a simple handle that must endure the elements, these old methods often outperform synthetic treatments. They require no chemicals, no imports, only knowledge, patience, and the materials already around you. In a world where most things are made to be replaced, rediscovering how our ancestors built for permanence is more than a craft. It's an act of preservation in itself. If you value the knowledge that has stood the test of centuries, subscribe to In the Beginning, and share this story with those who see history not as something lost, but as something to be because the secrets that built the medieval world may one day be the same ones that help us rebuild our own.